The 500 walkers, 500 mile workers.
Never better.
Yeah,
You-
it's been.
Well,
we're good. Actually, we're good, aren't we?
Yes,
We're
yeah.
good. I think we can't believe how quickly it's gone. With next Sunday, isn't it?
Yes, Sunday.
Sunday. So we've got as far as Sunday, and we've only got till Thursday to go. So it's similar to the last 500 in that while you're actually walking, it seems like a long time, but suddenly you realise that you've done most of the time. It's gone really quickly. I think we've both got sore feet. We've both got sore feet, but we're all right.
Yeah,
we're
bit tired.
you shared you shared some pictures from Derby, and I told you that I wanted to speak with you. Thank you very much. Beautiful pictures, by the way. And what was the experience like in Derby? Do you want to turn around and come home, or were you determined to keep going? What was the experience like?
Yeah, I think that the thing with Derby was it was always a prime point in England for us to visit.
Right.
It was the furthest south that Bonnie Prince Charlie got with his troops before he turned back up north because of the King's troops that were heading there.
Right.
So we knew we wanted to honour that event, but also take it a step further. So there was never a question when we got as far as Derby. Derby was not our end destination on that day, and that was with the purpose that there was a direct continuation further south so that we continued that crusade that Charlie wasn't able to at that time.
Well, beautiful.
Yeah.
It was absolutely coming into Derby and seeing the statue there with the horse, and he's sitting on the horse and it's got the bonnet on, and somebody had already been there and left a beautiful blue flower and tucked it in the side. So we left. We did a special stone.
Wren did that.
And put it on the side there.
You know what? I'm learning a lot of history, Scottish history, thanks to the 500 miles events. So thank you very much indeed, because yes, Douglas, my husband, is explaining to me a lot of wee details, and that's fantastic, because I love history. What was the reception being like in England? The reception from people in England, yes.
It's been very interesting because there's a great deal of curiosity about what we're doing. We're clearly, I mean, with the saltire on our backpacks and with the vests that Cliff Serby designed, they're very clearly representing Scotland. Me with my kilt attracts a certain attention as well, and we've been continuing the tradition. Every time we go over a bridge, over a motorway or something, we've been showing the flag, and it's very interesting to see the kind of reactions you get from the cars. Now, naturally, further up north, you'll expect a lot of Scots and what have you. So they were very strongly for it. You could hear they hoops and
the horns and
Further down, it started to get quieter, but it meant it still happened reasonably regularly. So it meant that people were either sympathetic towards the Scottish cause, or they themselves had some Scottish connection.
Right.
And it was rather. It kind of meant more. The further south we went, it meant all the more. You didn't get it as often, but it meant that much more.
Except for
Yes, yes.
Leicester. Leicester was amazing in that it would seem that that lots of people in Leicester just really like Scottish things and people. And as soon as we sort of got into Leicester, we had people going, "Hey, from Scotland, whereabouts? I've got family in Scotland, and where are you from?" Peeping on the horns. It was quite bizarre, really, because it was Leicester, and we haven't had that reaction really since I would say up in Cumbria. It's really people winding the windows down in cars.
Yes, that's right.
Hi, buddy, where are you from?
And the youth as well, which I was particularly delighted about. We met some, and they came up to us and they said, "Hey, where are you from, blood?" And I said, "Oh, Edinburgh. What? Did you walk?" I said, "Yeah." "Where are you walking to?" I said, "Oh, we're going to London." "What? Where's?" Yeah. And he was like, "Hey, respect, man." It was just so marvelous. This group of lads, young lads, and they were really. And in Sheffield, we had a group of even younger youth, probably about 14 or so. And they were like, "Are you real Scottish?" And we're like, "Yeah." "And did you walk from Scotland?" "Yeah." "Where are you walking to?" "London." "Why are you walking to London?" "Well, we're going to tell Westminster what we think of them." "Yeah, you tell them." It was just so marvelous.
And I think even if people don't really get because I think there is a difference in understanding like the Scottishness of it, actually. Because I think it's the difference between being in an anglicised place, which is different from being in Scotland, and even if they don't really understand the idea that Scotland feels, or portions from feels subsumed, that word, by the English government. There is an understanding that the government in place at the moment doesn't seem to represent anybody at all. We've not had anybody go, "Oh yes, they're doing a good job." No, there's nobody at all.
And that's the thing, because we found clearly not everybody agrees about Scottish independence. Clearly not everybody agrees, which we're also going down about Brexit. Clearly people will have their political affiliations, which are different to ours. And that's great. It's all part of the dialogue. It's part of the nature of a democratic system.
Right.
But the interesting thing is that very often, people, as Wren said, people will agree. So I tend to start. They see we're from Scotland, but when they say, "What are you doing it for charity? What are you doing it for?" I start with the Westminster theme, because I know if we start with the Scottish theme, then people just think it's purely a Scottish issue and their brains switch off. If you show them that it's about Westminster, not caring about anybody else except for Westminster. But it's a private, a members-only club almost.
That's what it seems like.
And yet they've been elected by the people of the United Kingdom to do a specific job that they're clearly not doing. If you start from that position and then say, "Yeah, we happen to be Scottish and we're doing all this," then people they already have a connection.
There's some sympathy. I guess I'm sure you know about the 5 million people who has signed so far the petition to revoke the Article 50, and I guess it should be on the news, all over the news, that in a proper media should be that should be the news, and also the 2 million people who demonstrated yesterday in London. So I guess there's some awareness about what is happening right now in the UK, and the presence of Nicola Sturgeon, the First Minister in London.
Very much so.
from my point of view, my humble view, is very, very important for Scotland, for the future of Scotland.
Absolutely, yes.
One question is, have you crossed paths with Nigel Farage's group?
We did have, we had one event, we'd heard that Nigel Farage, that UKIP, because they picked up on the fact what we were doing and they were looking for us.
Yes.
So what we decided was to take an alternative route, so that rather than go from Scotland through Gretna Green to Carlisle, we would make our way to Carlisle, and then we would go back up to Gretna Green and go the alternative route. So we do the same route, but in the opposite direction. And so we did eventually meet up with a very angry driver who he left the main road, and I suspect he called a fleet that had been waiting in standby somewhere, because within 5 minutes of this very angry driver telling us what he thought about the whole thing, there was a caravan of a fleet of cars that were beeping and tooting before they even saw us. And when they drove by, they had UKIP posters, and they had the Union Jack, and they the better part, most of them were
smiling.
They were smiling and laughing. They felt they felt they'd caught us and shown us
but
what
no,
the business was.
without aggressivity, or they were not aggressive.
They were completely unaggressive. The driver had been but he remained in the car.
That's good. Yes.
And the only other thing we had was it seemed like a provocation when we were walking on a road not too far from that area, and there was a van parked there with the lights on and the driver there, and it was a bit peculiar because he was on our lane, and he didn't seem to be doing anything except staring at us. So I was a wee bit cautious. I used to work in security, so I took the front position so that Wren was behind me, and just walked very slowly but very certainly up to the van. And the moment we actually got within a few feet, he just drove away without any kind of a plan. So we had something similar on the 500-mile march, and I think it was intended to intimidate. It wasn't actually an act of aggression, but it was supposed to intimidate. But
intimidation
without success.
I think we've probably come the closest to him today, though, because I think he was supposed to be Corby today, wasn't he? So
that's right. Yes,
but we haven't actually, we haven't crossed paths with him.
That's right. We were parallel to him, probably.
When do you intend to arrive in Westminster? I know it's on the 28th of 29th.
28.
28. Yeah, the morning of the 28th.
What sort of reception has been organised, or has been organised? Any reception at all?
We know that we have some people coming down from Scotland, various parts of Scotland, to join us. So we've got that. We know that. How much we can say?
Yeah.
We know that.
There's something something in the air.
Certain members of Parliament have indicated they may be interested to meet us.
Yes, when we get that.
Okay, that would be nice. That would be nice indeed.
It's the least they could do.
At least you deserve yes, some kindness. After the effort, the huge effort that you're making, it's amazing. Huge respect. I'm seeing some comments on the Livers March. and the Nigel Farage.
Yeah.
I feel full respect for the workers too. Yeah, because I think as even if you don't agree politically, you have to respect the effort of any march. It's very important. But obviously, you're my favorite workers. So yes, I prefer
it
that.
Nigel Farage, though.
So well, I'll be following your next steps. Okay, and until when is and the 20th is Thursday, is it? Thursday, yes. On Thursday, we'll be following the news from you. So please keep us well informed. Okay?
As well as we can do. I mean, there were security issues to
Of course.
But as much as we can, we will.
We will keep you informed. We'll make a point of getting hold of you on the 28th.
Yes, we will. Yeah, we'll talk to you on the 28th for sure.
Well, thank you very much for that interview, for this interview, and thank you. Good luck and stay safe. All right.
Thank you very much.
And we'll speak soon.
Okay,
absolutely. Okay.
Lots of love. Bye.
Bye.